The glass of bourbon trembled in my hand, the amber liquid catching the dim glow of the chandelier as laughter erupted around me. My wife Elise leaned closer to him, some slick-haired colleague named Marcus. Her voice a low, teasing murmur that sliced through the party's hum like a razor. "Oh, Marcus, you're too much," she said, her fingers grazing his arm, her lips curling into a smile I hadn't seen in months. Then, as if I were a ghost in my own marriage, she glanced at me and said, "Don't mind my roommate over there." The word hit like a fist to the gut, and the room tilted, the clink of glasses and chatter fading into a dull roar. Roommate. After 8 years, 2 miscarriages, and a mortgage we could barely afford? My chest tightened, but I forced a smile, the kind that hides a scream. The party was in full swing, a glittering affair in our own living room, packed with Elise's co-workers from the law firm. Crystal flutes sparkled on trays, and the air smelled of jasmine perfume and smoked salmon canapes. I'd spent hours arranging the charcuterie, dimming the lights just right, playing the dutiful husband while Elise floated through the crowd, radiant in her emerald dress. But now, standing by the fireplace, I felt like an intruder in my own home. Marcus laughed at something she whispered, his hand brushing her lower back, and my mind raced. Was I imagining the intimacy? The way her eyes lingered on him, bright and unguarded, while mine warranted only a dismissive quip. I sipped the bourbon, the burn grounding me as I scanned the room for answers I wasn't sure I wanted. Elise had been distant for weeks, maybe months. Late nights at the office, phone screens tilted away, a new perfume I didn't recognize. I'd chalked it up to stress, to her big case, to the weight of our shared grief. But now, doubt gnawed at me like a splinter under skin. I remembered the text I'd glimpsed last week, Marcus's name flashing on her screen before she snatched it away. "Just work," she'd said, her voice too sharp. I'd nodded, swallowing the unease, because love means trust, doesn't it? Or was that just denial dressed up as devotion? I moved through the crowd, the buzz of conversation a distant hum, my eyes locked on Elise. She was magnetic, her laughter a melody that used to be mine. Marcus leaned in again, whispering something that made her throw her head back, exposing the curve of her throat. My throat tightened, a mix of longing and rage. I wanted to storm over, demand answers, but my feet stayed rooted, heavy with the fear of what I'd find. Instead, I drifted to the kitchen, the clatter of dishes a temporary shield. Our neighbor, Sarah, was there rinsing glasses, her eyes soft with pity. "You okay, Tom?" she asked, her voice low. I nodded, but her gaze lingered, like she saw the fracture I was trying to ignore. The night dragged on, each moment a fresh cut. Elise's hand on Marcus's shoulder, his smirk as he refilled her wine, the way she didn't look for me not once. I stood by the window, the cold glass pressing against my palm, staring at the snow-dusted street outside. Our street. Our life. Was it all a lie? My mind replayed every moment. The way she'd stopped kissing me goodnight, the excuses for her late hours, the way her laughter felt like a performance. But there was love there, wasn't there? The memory of her sobbing in my arms after the second miscarriage, whispering, "We'll get through this, Tom." Was that gone? I couldn't take it anymore. I slipped upstairs, the party's noise muffled by the creak of the floorboards. In our bedroom, her phone lay on the dresser, its screen dark but beckoning. My hands shook as I picked it up. Her password was still our anniversary, 0608. The familiarity stung. I opened her messages and there it was, a thread with Marcus, stretching back months. "Miss you already," he'd written yesterday. "Last night was incredible," she'd replied. My knees buckled, and I sank onto the bed, the phone burning in my hand. Photos. Hotel receipts. Promises to figure it out. Each word was a blade, carving away the life I thought we had. I don't know how long I sat there, the party's laughter mocking me from below. Part of me wanted to believe it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. Maybe she was lonely, maybe I'd failed her somehow. But the truth was heavier, undeniable. She'd chosen this. Chosen him. The woman who'd vowed to love me forever had reduced me to a roommate in front of a room full of strangers. I stood, my reflection in the mirror a stranger's, pale, hollow-eyed, betrayed. I could confront her now, make a scene, watch her squirm under the weight of her lies. But that felt too small, too fleeting. Instead, I grabbed a duffel bag from the closet and started packing. Shirts, socks, my toothbrush. Each item a quiet rebellion. I paused at the photo on the nightstand. Us on our honeymoon, laughing in the rain. I left it there, face up, a reminder of what she'd thrown away. Downstairs, the party was winding down, guests trickling out into the snowy night. Elise was by the door, saying goodbyes, Marcus nowhere in sight. She didn't notice me until I was halfway out. Bag slung over my shoulder. Tom, she called, her voice laced with confusion, maybe fear. I turned, meeting her eyes for the first time all night. They were wide, searching, but I saw the guilt flicker in them, a shadow she couldn't hide. Where are you going? She asked, stepping closer. Her voice softer now, almost pleading. The crowd was gone, the house quiet except for the faint hum of the heater. I could have screamed, could have thrown her phone at her feet and demanded answers. But I didn't. I wanted her to feel the weight of my absence, the silence of her own choices. Somewhere I'm not just a roommate, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Her face crumpled, and for a moment, I saw the woman I loved, the one who'd promised forever. But then I remembered the texts, the lies, the laughter that wasn't for me. I turned and walked into the snow, the cold biting my skin, the streetlights blurring through tears I refused to let fall. I didn't look back, but I heard her call my name, a desperate sound swallowed by the night. The duffel bag weighed heavy on my shoulder, but my heart was heavier still. I'd loved her with everything I had, and she'd traded it for whispers and stolen nights. As I disappeared into the dark, I left her with the vacancy she'd created. A house full of echoes, a bed half empty, and the truth she couldn't outrun.